He's presented the truly astronomical TV program The Sky at Night since 1957 and never missed a show. He writes his heavenly scripts on a typewriter 92 years old and marks planetary time with his 7th birthday present. Patrick Moore has been described as a living national treasure. He's the genuine, monocle-wearing British eccentric, and we've had an invitation to lunch. What better reason to escape the rat race of London? The village of Selsey lies on the very tip of West Sussex, a quiet place, a gentle golden speck in a crowded world. Selsey does, of course, have its bright lights, changing constantly, as they say, from orange to red and back to green.
Well, now it's fairly quiet. That's the main thing.
Honest Bill the fishmonger doesn't find anything strange having a national treasure as a neighbour.
I don't take no notice of it. I just talk to him as I would any other chaps.
Selsey may not be the centre of the universe, but it's a good outpost from which to watch it. And that's exactly what astronomer Patrick Moore does, though he has many more earthly interests.
And the first attempt was a drink, don't you?
I think excellent.
I'll show you where that... here we have the very strict rule to drink in this house.
Yes.
Laid out by my old friend Colonel Edmund Ironmonger. They're very simple. You help yourself. It's mixing so much easier.
Thank you so much.
At 77, he still rides his boyhood bike when he can, the terror of the town.
Somebody said to me, is that bike safe? I said, of course it's not safe. There's a menace to the whole village.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To the moon.
And in the glow of homemade rose petal wine, Patrick Moore describes how his passion for astronomy started.
Yes, I was 6 years old. I was sitting in the chair just behind you, and I picked up a book belonging to my mother, who were all a bit interested, a little book called The Story of the Solar System, which I have there, I can show you. And I sat down in that chair, and I read it right the way through, and I thought it was interesting. It wasn't a bad effort, because it wasn't a boy's book, but my reading was all right. And I was hooked from that moment on.
Now so much is known. Is it still as intensely interesting as we make it?
More so. Every problem we solve raises a whole host of new ones. I remember a remark made to me by Sir Arthur Eddington, the great pioneer of astrophysics, that he knew all about the composition of the sun in 1930, rather less in 1932, and nothing at all in 1936.
How do you get your mind around the enormous numbers that we're looking at, and the tiniest, weeniest numbers? Just the scale of the dimension of the universe bamboozles most of us.
I don't, and neither did anybody else. And I once asked a rather clever gentleman if he could really visualise even a million miles. He said he couldn't. His name was Einstein.
Not just Einstein, Patrick Moore spans the century. He also met the first man on the moon, Neil Armstrong, the first cosmonaut, Yuri Gagarin, even the first airman, Orville Wright. These days, it's the young ones who seek him out.
What's that?
It's the front door bell.
Constantly.
I'll go and chase them off.
He's always busy, sometimes a little grumpy,
I am just in the middle of a television interview.
but keen to share his interest.
Show them the telescopes.
The garden tour of the telescopes, with a couple of starstruck teenagers who dropped in on the great man.
Between those two taps, the sun lost 4 million tons. Losing 4 million tons. A day panic has taken left.
Patrick Moore paid 7 shillings for his first telescope at the age of 10. But astronomy is not the only fascination he's had since childhood. He's a composer of note.
Band of the Royal Paratroop Brigade. They wanted a new old-fashioned march. So I wrote this one.
And he hasn't just written one, he's written 70. And operas too.
How do you learn these things?
I've got one thing, there's no credit to me, don't get me wrong, no credit at all. I know nothing about the theory of music, I know nothing about it technically, but say no credit to that weird thing called perfect pitch and perfect time I've got.
And so you taught yourself to play music and compose. Yeah. But how do you actually write it? I mean, it's...
When I was 8, I remember thinking, I can't read music, it's silly, so I went and bought a 6-minute book and taught myself. I like it. Simple as that. I've always known Chelsea. Always wanted to live here. First of all, I like dark skies. I don't like crowds. I do like country life. Therefore, Chelsea suits me very well. Onward to Honest Bill.
Patrick Moore doesn't just watch stars, he is one. A world figure in a small town.
Okay, thanks so much. Cheerio, Bill. Hello.
He used to live with his mother until she died at 94. Now he shares his farmhouse with a young cat, Jeannie, queen of his heart.
She is. And she's just 1 year old.
Yes, isn't she a darling cat?
And runs a distinctly bachelor establishment.
Muffins are probably done. Wash the lettuce, make sure there are no beetles in it. One moment. You help yourself to wine. Peel a cucumber. Next thing to do, I think. I can find my knife, which is here. Now, will you please help yourselves?
This is The Lunch, Patrick Moore's famous seafood salad.
Thanks, Ron Spiro.
That's great.
Everyone got everything now.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Shared with a stranger who came for an autograph and stayed for a meal.
I have actually heard it said and seen it written that you, Patrick Moore, would be a living national treasure.
Good heavens, no.
If you weren't so ornery and not politically correct. Is there some truth in that?
I'm totally politically incorrect.
Patrick Moore has opinions on most things. Astrology.
For many people, when you say astronomy, what they think of is astrology and the stars. What do you think about that?
Astrology proves one scientific fact. There's one born every minute.
Politics.
There's one man we now need in Parliament, and here we want one man in Parliament, Guy Fawkes.
Creationism.
If ignorance is bliss, they must be very happy.
And is there life out there?
There must surely be 100,000 million stars in our galaxy alone, 1,000 million galaxies. Can anyone believe that our sun is the only one to have an inhabited planet going around it? I don't believe that for a moment. If life can appear, will it? That's what we don't know.
Do you find that thrilling or alarming?
Thrilling. Not alarming. After all, if any other beings know enough to get here, they'll have put war far behind them. They'll teach us a great deal, which wouldn't be very difficult at all.
The story of the solar system.
Published 1898, price 6pence.
It's more than 70 years since this book inspired a 6-year-old. Since then, Patrick Moore has written more than 100 of his own and broadcast to millions, inspiring who knows how many.
Is it still magical to you now, after all this?
Oh, very much so. Oh, yes, quite definitely. It has.